Assalamu alaikum and hi, I'm Ame Arif. Today, me and my teammates will present on code switching and the factors that influence it. So according to Newman and Carter, 2001, code switching can be defined as a phenomenon of switching from one language to another in the same discourse. The factors that influence code switching are the fluency of the target language, facilitate understanding, and the language and social environment. So I will pass the floor to Irfan.
The first factor of code switch is the fluency of the target language. And for this, I'm going to focus on floor holding. Eldridge in 1996 mentioned of the basic functional perspective for students code switching, and one of them is floor holding. It only happens in the student's perspective during a conversation between the students among themselves or the students with their teachers. It mainly occurs in an education setting, usually inside an English second language classroom or any other second language classrooms. Floor holding happens when a student is conducting a conversation in that target language, but they switch to their native language to fill in the gaps. Oh teacher, I have a question. Kalau soalan ni betul ke kena tambah B sebelum kata kerja? Alright, thanks teacher. The reasons behind this are to avoid miscommunication, to foster understanding among learners and between their teachers, and to make the conversation still going on. Floor holding indicates the lack of fluency in the target language, lacking the target language vocabularies, and the inability to recall the appropriate target language structure or lexicon, thus proving that the factor of code switching is the fluency of the target language. If they are not fluent in the target language, they will switch to another code, due to the reasons stated before. If the students keep using floor holding, this will result into the loss of the target language fluency in the long term.
Next, the second factor of code switching is to facilitate understanding among the speakers. I will be focusing on using reiteration as to carry out the factor. According to Gumpers, 1982, reiteration is a situation when a message in one code is repeated in the other code, either literally or in somewhat modified form. This refers to the concept of repetition in another language and not in the same language, because if not, that doesn't count as code switching. The usage of reiteration is used by both teachers and students in a classroom. For example, the teacher said,
"The moral value of the poem is to not seek revenge and be forgiving to one another." Maksudnya, kita tak boleh berdendam dan perlu saling bermaafan. That is what the poem is trying to convey.
So based on the example, the reasons why reiteration is used is first, to clarify the message. Repetition was done to align the meanings in two different languages, Malay and English, so that the students could gain a better understanding of the words spoken by the teacher. And second is to emphasize the message. When the teacher didn't receive the desired response from the students, the teacher reiterates it in the native language so that the students understood the message and able to see the importance in it. So based on these two reasons, reiteration in code switch is to facilitate the understanding of the student and teacher.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Razin Kambi Ahmad, and I will be talking about one of the factors for code switching in children, which is the language and social environment that the speaker is in. Language and social environment plays a huge role in code switching in children. Code switching occurs almost exclusively in multilingual communities. The way it works is that children are exposed to the second language that are spoken in their community. With enough proficiency in the second language, they can freely alternate between the first and the second language. This eventually results into children who employ code switching in their everyday conversation. This is the case for a community that practices code switching in their everyday life. However, there are cases in bilingual community where code switching might not be so well accepted. This might happen if the community wishes to keep the language relatively separate. One such example is in Montreal, where children between the age of 2 to 3.5 years learn the pragmatic rule of avoiding code switching. This results into children that do not employ code switching in their everyday conversation. In both cases, social environment, such as how much a community practice code switching in their everyday life, is a huge factor that determines whether the children will be able to code switch or not when they grow up. In conclusion, code switching among children is caused by several factors. The fluency of the target language, facilitate understanding, and the language and social environment are all factors that can affect the ability of the children in code switching. We hope that through our presentation, we have shed some lights on the topic of code switching in children. Thank you.